James Harden thanked Philadelphia for finally granting his wish to come to the Clippers. Nah, just kidding. He crapped all over him. The Dodgers' first offseason move might wind up being their wisest offseason move. And a look at USC's transfers suggests why they're struggling on defense so much. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the Faithful Angelinos Morning Report. So it is November 3rd, 2023. I'm back in Salt Lake City. I got 4 weeks left at work on this assignment. Whatever. We did add a new subscriber to the Angelino Familia last night. Thank you for getting in on the ground floor. And if you like being in the know about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment, because that is a glorious thing to do. So before we go through the news and notes, a quick look at the scoreboard. The Kings have moved to 5-0 on the road with a 3-2 victory over Ottawa last night. 3 different players score for the Kings. Adrian Kempe, 2 assists. Meanwhile, tonight, nothing. So it's Friday. Go out. I hope you get lucky. Find Miss Right now if you can't find Miss Right. But with that out of the way, what do you say we get to the news? Now look, James Harden. I've been saying long before the trade that the guy is a career malcontent. And so how much longer do you give before he starts complaining about the Clippers? The reason I bring this up is because in his very first press conference with the Clippers, he just couldn't help himself. He had to exalt himself to heights he clearly does not deserve. And in addition to that, crap on his former employer. Why would you do that at the first day on your new job? Do you ever go to a brand new job, claim that you run the place because you're so amazing, and then, oh, by the way, everybody else who's hired you before, they're a bunch of idiots and they don't know what they're talking about? That is the very definition of a bad career move on your first day. So how long do you expect before he starts complaining about playing time, shots, the pregame buffet? Maybe that the trainers don't rub his butt cheeks till they're rubbed to his satisfaction, right? I bring this up because, again, he could have been gracious, a little humble. What did he do? He compared to being in Philadelphia like being on a leash. Like being on a leash. Insert a million different inappropriate stereotypes from slavery into that statement. Go right ahead. Then a scribe, honestly, the guy goes out and he runs the numbers, right? Oh, Harden was under too much control in Philadelphia. A scribe runs the numbers and noted that James Harden had possession of the basketball more than anyone else in the NBA other than Luka Doncic. And if you look at the Mavericks, you can understand why Luka Doncic has the ball that much. But no, James Harden didn't have the ball enough. And then when that was brought to his attention, said Harden, quote, "I'm not a system player, I am the system." You're 34 years old, dude. Your system is like Windows 95. There are upgrades out there willing to take your job in not so short a time. Just ask the Sixers. They're still okay without him because they have Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid, by the way, did not take all that kindly to these comments about how being in Philadelphia was akin to being on a leash. Oh, Embiid was polite about it, but he did note Harden had the ball every single play. I just don't get it. I do not see how this trade is going to wind up working for the Clippers. You have the ball every single play and it's not enough? Really? Craziness. From the looks of things yesterday with the Dodgers, I believe Andrew Friedman is going to go big game hunting. I believe this because his first move was to extend Max Muncy to 2 more years on his contract for $24 million. Now, let's put that in perspective in a number of ways, because I said in the opener, this might be their wisest move, because it can help them in any number of ways. Put in perspective, Max Muncy hit 36 home runs last year. He had 4 seasons, 4 of them, with a minimum of 35 home runs. He earned $13.5 million last year. And he got a pay cut? Max Muncy gets a pay cut. Now, I will definitely agree with you that Max Muncy's batting average isn't all that great, but 36 home runs and a pay cut? So, at first blush, you have to sit there and say, you know what? Yeah, the Dodgers are trying to save as much money as they can, every nickel and dime, to go after either Shohei Ohtani, Japanese pitcher Yoshinobu Yamamoto, or both. Now that's first blush, and that is a possibility, don't get me wrong, but there's more than one way to look at it. Other ways suggesting that it's a smart move, because look, Ohtani is the obvious move, right? What is a wise move? With Muncy's future settled, the next question then becomes JD Martinez. They have 4 days to decide if they are going to give him this 1-year qualifying offer. If you give JD Martinez a qualifying offer and he doesn't accept and he signs with another team, the Dodgers get a draft pick. Of course, the converse is JD Martinez could take the qualifying offer. Now, what is the qualifying offer expected to be? Former MLB general manager Jim Bowden estimated it could be a little more than $20 million. So, in other words, you are giving yourself an insurance policy in case you do not decide to give JD Martinez a $20 million qualifying offer. And by the way, what happens if the Dodgers strike out on Shohei Ohtani? Because Ohtani for the first year could only DH. Does that not mean that the solution is Max Muncy becomes your DH? So that's what makes this a wise move. It gives them insurance if they don't get Martinez or Shohei Ohtani, because the other free agents out there for designated hitting are not all that great, frankly. So you can either have Max Muncy coming back to third base with either Ohtani and Martinez, or you can move Muncy to the designated hitting spot. Then you can bring back Miguel Vargas for a second run. Instead of forcing him to play second, you give him his natural third base back. And of course, you add Gavin Lux, and you're off and running. And what would you do with that extra money? What would you do with the money that you just saved? You would boost your starting pitching. So in other words, Max Muncy is the key to open up all these other options for the Dodgers offseason. It's a very good idea. Absolutely. By the way, I have heard people lament Corey Seager signing with Texas, which is understandable. I've also had people come up to me and say, well, that means they better go after some starting pitching with the money that they saved. But what if that money is actually for Ohtani? What if LA actually decided to trade for pitching instead? That's always a possibility. The Dodgers have a pretty respectable farm system, do they not? The LA Times is suggesting that the Dodgers, by the way, will pursue Milwaukee ace Corbin Burns, who has won a Cy Young Award. That's going to cost prospects more than money, guys. Just saying. So again, Max Muncy opens the door for a variety of options that they did not have about a week ago. The Athletic took a look at all of the athletes who transferred into USC's football program, and frankly, the misses are extremely concerning. Absolutely concerning. And don't get me wrong, they've had a couple of misses on offense. I definitely wouldn't say that about Marshawn Lloyd. Marshawn Lloyd has been a godsend for the USC offense. But if you look at the defensive line, now you can sit there and say, well, James, Bear Alexander has been extremely disruptive. And you'd be right. Absolutely. But USC brought in 4 transfers to play defensive line. 4 of them. The only one you see playing on a regular basis is Bear Alexander. What about Keon Bars from Arizona? was supposed to join Bear Alexander, and those were supposed to be these two big heavyweights that you weren't going to be able to push off the line of scrimmage, right? Where's Keon Bars? Keon Bars was an all Pac-12 selection 2 years ago. He can't get on the field with the Trojans. Same for Anthony Lucas, a 4-star recruit who went to Texas A&M, decided to transfer to USC. Can't get on the field. Same for Jack Sullivan. Again, 4 defensive line transfers, and only one of them can get on the field. This bigger, badder defensive line that we were promised by Alex Grinch and company has not materialized. Now, did these players become lazy? Did these players lose their talent? What that tells me is either one, Alex Grinch did a terrible job in recruiting talent, or B, Alex Grinch does not know how to teach these guys how to play this system that he allegedly thinks is going to work. Instead of either of these 3 large transfers joining Bear Alexander, USC put Stanley Ta'ufu, I know I'm going to mispronounce his name, and I apologize up front for that. Stanley Ta'ufu'au, who is undersized on the defensive line. And as you might imagine, they get pushed around a little bit. By the way, they did release the Big Ten schedules for next year. I am aware that USC will open next year's Big Ten schedule at Michigan, to which I say they have bigger problems right now. So that's a year away. There's time. UCLA, by the way, got the booty end of the schedule with the Big Ten for next year. They have multiple cross-country trips scheduled. Multiple. They have to go all the way to Penn State. They have to go all the way to Rutgers. Not to mention that they have non-conference games scheduled at Hawaii and at LSU. You might want to take some of that extra Big Ten money on an upgrade instead of using, say, Spirit. Just saying. As someone who spends a lot of time on a plane, let me tell you, that sucks. It really does. The Lakers' Gabe Vincent is out for at least 2 weeks with a left knee effusion. Now, that is fancy pants medical talk for he's got fluid on the knee. Just so you know. The Lakers, as we discussed earlier this week, they went with a big lineup in the fourth quarter. They did so against Orlando earlier this week, but they also did it against the Clippers. Here's the thing. They didn't wait for the fourth quarter. They did it in the third. They went large. They took LeBron James out to give him a little bit of rest in the third quarter, went with an all-big lineup. This jumbo lineup comes out and goes on a 15-5 run on the Clippers. Turned a double-digit deficit into a lead. Now, if you look at the clips of the game against the Clippers, with Christian Wood or Jackson Hayes on the floor, Anthony Davis didn't have to play under the rim. Instead, he was sticking his hand in the face of either Kawhi Leonard or Paul George to show you the variety that Anthony Davis can bring to the defense if you don't have him trying to pound on some big guy for the rebound. So there's a trend in the NBA, and it's not necessarily small ball. We've piled on the Chargers a lot in 2023, and there's been good reason to. The Jacksonville collapse, Austin Eckler thinking that he's Marshall Faulk, Brandon Staley's play calling like a 13-year-old on Madden, a lot of things. But regardless of what happens this season, give respect to Keenan Allen. He is 70 yards away from reaching 10,000 receiving yards in his career. Now look, everybody agrees that Allen isn't blessed with these great physical gifts like the greatest receivers of all time, right? He doesn't have the height of a Randy Moss. He doesn't have the, he doesn't have the speed of a lot of guys out there. But everybody agrees that Allen is great and elite because of his elite technique. He studied his craft so much to make up for the physical things that he lacks. And when you work that hard to become a master at your craft, that's respectable. Absolutely. If he makes it this weekend, or I should say Monday night, he would be the 54th person to have reached that plateau. The Rams did something that was expected. They have added running back Darrell Henderson Jr. to the active roster officially. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me about James Harden, about how allegedly happy he's going to be with the Clippers. Talk to me then also about what you think the Dodgers are going to do next in the postseason. And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. And thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow, possibly later tonight with Friday Night Chalk Talk. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.